Hello and welcome. In my series of videos about facing regulatory inspection, in this specific video I will be talking about how to present a document to an inspector. So in an inspection there are a lot of documents which are required to be presented to an inspector. It may be during the site round and it may be during the audit in the audit room or the boardroom where the inspectors are sitting and we are required to present documents. There are a lot of documents which are required to be present during an audit, which includes site master files, validation master plan, protocols, SOPs, batch manufacturing records, batch packing records, QMS document which includes deviations, change control, CAPA, etc. Apart from that, lot many engineering document which includes layouts, area layout, facility layout, HVAC layout, man material movement layout, then calibration records. So there are endless list of documents which are usually required to be present in an inspection. So in this specific session we will be looking at how we can present a document during an audit in an audit room. So when you are called to present a document to an inspector in inspection, you must be aware that what document you are going to present. For example, we have 4 or 5 documents like this. Then you must know what is the document, what is written inside the document. If it is an SOP for an equipment, you must know where the operation part is written, where the alarm handling part is written, where the listing of alarms, where the content, how to attend a breakdown or how to proceed when there is a breakdown in an equipment. So in SOP this sort of questions may be asked during an audit, so you must be aware. And before going to an auditor, if you have a chance, then look at the document, what is inside the document. If it is your daily use document, then you must know that which section is on what approximate page. So it should not happen that you are sitting with an auditor and you are finding, you are flipping page and looking that where is the required section. It should not happen. It gives a negative impression to an inspector that you are not knowing what is in the document or what contents are there in the document and what specific section. Because you are daily referring that document, it is expected that you should be able to present a specific point without any delay. That is one. Secondly, when you are sitting with an auditor and presenting a document, then how you should present? First, you should introduce yourself. You should tell your name, your designation, your area of work, and then you can start with document explanation. If it is a too big document, like if it is a too heavy document like this, then you can ask, may I facilitate for the document review? May I show you the section where the contents are? If inspector says yes, then you can start guiding to the document that this is my index, these are my contents, this is first section which includes this part or introduction objective. Then second section is about how to perform the activity. Third section is how to handle the alarms. Fourth section is how to handle the breakdowns. That way you can facilitate. Some inspectors likes to go through the document by their own. In that case, you should give the document to an auditor and sit besides him and wait for any questions. If there are no questions, good idea or good. If there is a question, then first understand the question. I have talked in my previous videos how to answer a question to an inspector. So first understand the question, think on it and then give the answer. And give the to the point answer, no more, no less. Additional information may lead to additional questions which you are not willing in an inspection scenario. Secondly, how you should speak when you are presenting a document to an inspector. So your voice should be loud enough that person sitting next to an inspector. So usually what happens in inspection, in audit room, you will be sitting with an auditor the escort or the senior personnel will be sitting next to the inspector. So it is utmost important that your voice should be loud enough so that inspector can hear you. Loud enough, and you don't speak too quickly, otherwise they will not get your answer, and if you speak too slowly then they will not be able to hear you. So this is the most important part, that your voice should be loud and clear so that inspector can understand, the senior personnel in the audit room can understand the question. When presenting a complex system, for example, freeze drying principle is very complex. If you have HVAC system which is very complex, water system is complex system, then instead of simply a written theoretical document, it is better you prepare a process flow chart, how that system works, and bring that process flow, and through that process flow explain that how the questions, how you can explain it. It will be easy for you, and it will be easy for the inspector to understand the complex system. Although we are ready all the time how to present a document when we know there is inspection is going on, but there are certain scenarios where a document is asked surprisingly and urgently, and you don't have much chance to go through the document. So what you can do, take 2 or 3 minutes and just go through it, because it is your regular usage document. You must be aware what are the content, but simply going through the document before you go to the inspector, then you will have certain idea that what is the document, what is written inside, and you will get background history. For example, many times it happens when we have to present a specific deviation. So deviation of last year, you might have written investigated at that time, but presently you may not be aware the each and every content of the deviation. So what you can do, before going to the inspector, take 2 minutes break. It is okay to take 2 minutes break before going to the inspector. Go through it, so you will have the idea that yes, this was this specific deviation where we have done this activity, this was the root cause, and this was the kappa. So it will be easy for you before going to the inspector. Otherwise, if you go unprepared even in an urgent situation, it will be difficult that you may not be able to answer all the questions, and it may give negative impression to the inspector that you are not prepared, you are not knowing your documents. So these are few important tips. In my next video, I will be talking about how to behave in an inspection when you are in an audit room. Thank you. Hello and welcome. In my series of videos about facing regulatory inspection, in this specific video, I will be talking about acceptable behavior patterns in an inspection room. So in inspection, all the document review, document presentation is being done in an inspection room or audit room, which we normally call. So when you are in audit room, what are the acceptable behaviors? I will be talking on that part in this specific video. So let us start with what you should be wearing, your clothes. So your clothes should be formal. There should be no printed shirt, no t-shirts. Why? So auditors, certainly auditors are not there to see or review your clothes or clothing pattern, but formal clothing gives a corporate impression in an inspection and gives a good healthy environment. So that is first and foremost. Secondly, when you are in audit room, the only language you should speak is English. Why? All the audits happen in English. Even if the auditor's mother tongue is not English, the audit will happen in English language only. So whenever you are in audit room, you must speak English and no other language. Why? So if you are in an inspection scenario, if you are talking in your local language, then auditors will consider that you are trying to hide something, or you are trying to make something which is not there, or there is some problem in the document which is being presented and you are trying to cover it up. So avoid this. So we are not doing anything wrong in the audit, but by our behavior we should not give a negative impression. Next is, whenever auditor is there and reviewing a document, do not stand behind the auditor. It is very odd scenario that you are, even in your personal life also, if you are doing something and somebody comes, stands behind you looking at you, then there will be odd feeling inside you. So we are not there to create that feeling inside the mind of an auditor. If somebody is explaining and you are standing behind, that it gives even a negative impression or negative image that there is something problem and you are trying there, you are standing there to understand and cover up. So don't do that. If you are there in inspection room and you are next, then don't indulge and you are waiting for your turn to explain your part. Then meanwhile in that scenario, don't go for the side talks with your colleagues present in the audit room. It is a natural human tendency to ask questions, how the audit is going on, what is the scenario, is there any problem is there. So these are the common questions which are in our mind, but don't ask that question in the room. When you are in the room, stand silently, see what's going on. If at all you can help somewhere, then understand what is going on. If you require, you can help the inspectors or help our colleagues by calling somebody who is required, by bringing the document, but do not go in side talks, do not speak in local language. When your turn is there, then go to the inspector, sit and start showing your documents. Until there is a question, you are not required to speak anything. So in inspection scenario, it is a normal tendency that there is a lot of silence in the room, and as a human behavior, we try to fill the silence by talking something, but it is not required in the inspection scenario. You may remain silent until and unless there is a questions which are being asked. Why? Because by the tendency of filling the silence, we may give additional information which is not required at all, and we may create certain scenarios which is not in favor of our company or our organization. So these are the few important tips we should be taking care during an inspection. So I'll repeat. First is your clothes, it should be formal. Secondly, the speaking language, it must be English, no side talks, no local language talks. Third is, do not lean behind the auditor, do not see the documents from behind what inspector is going. And yes, of course, one important part, most of the time auditors comes with a laptop and they put entries, whatever they observe, or they come with a diary or put their observation in the diary. So whenever they are writing their content in the diary, do not look into the diary that what you are writing. At the end, of course, they will be giving the observation to you in a formal report. By looking at the diary or by looking their laptop, it gives negative impression that you are trying to catch something, and it is not required also. It's a formal audit. At the end, they will be doing some closing meetings every day, and they will be explaining or expressing their concern during the day. So anyway, you are getting that observation, so it is not required that you should look into the laptop or diaries. Be humble, be calm, do not hesitate, do not get tensed in an inspection scenario. Everybody is there to make an organization success, so that instead of getting worried, you should be prepared for the inspection and take care of these 3-4 important things, so that it will be helpful in your audit inspection scenarios. Hope this will be helpful to you, my friends, in your next inspections. And if you have any questions, concern, you can put the comments in my video, and I will be happy to answer that questions or concern in my next session. Hope this is of some help to you. Thanks for watching my video. Goodbye. Hi, in this video we will talk about how to write an audit observations. Audit is a very important part of company's operations, and to respond to audit observation, to respond to regulatory audit observation is very critical activity, and it should be taken very carefully. First, we must ensure that we are very serious about the audit observation while writing the response. We should make sure that we are serious about the observation. We should make understand auditors or regulators that we respect them, we are very serious, and we want to respond to their observation, and we want to comply to the regulatory requirements. So let's start how we can write a proper audit response. So first part of any audit observation response is to acknowledge the observations. So we have to acknowledge, yes, we acknowledge your observations, and if you feel that there is some mistake in the observation, like room number is incorrect, SOP number is incorrect, then you can mention in the response, in the acknowledgement part, that this name or this number is not this but this, in a very polite language, not offending the auditor or the regulator. That is one. Second is, provide some background. If it is a critical observation or complex observation which needs clarification, then provide some background. See, the person or the auditor who has audited your facility may not be the person who will be reviewing your response. This will change with a regulatory agency. So same person may or may not be reviewing the response. So you should provide some background for a complex observation or a critical observation, that this was the scenario where this observation was generated. Once we have acknowledged, provided a background, then provide initial impact assessment or impact assessment, that what is the impact of the observation and what are the interim controls we have, so that there will be no product impact or no impact on the patient safety. Mention the interim controls, and then you mention what corrections you have taken, immediate actions you have taken to correct the observations, so that it will give a very good impression or very good feedback that you are serious and you have taken immediate actions as soon as you have identified or you have given this observation while audit. Then provide what actions you are going to take, what corrective actions you are going to take. It may be revision of SOP, it may be procurement of a new equipment, it may be preparing a study protocol or conducting a study, it may be taking new batches. Anything can be there basis on the observation. It can be repetition of the qualification activity. Please ensure that you are complying to the observations. So many times what happens when we are part of audit, so instead of responding to the actual observation, we respond to our assumptions that this observation was because of this thought process from the auditor. While responding, you should know that what is the exact written observation by the auditor. Don't respond to your feelings or based on your assumption or based on feelings. So this was the, auditor might have think that and he has given this observation. Don't do that. Just read the observation in depth, understand what is the exact observation, and then respond to that observation. Once you have identified corrections, corrective action and preventive actions, then mention in stepwise detail by which time you are going to complete, and if it is already completed, mention that this action is already completed. You will be required to provide necessary evidences like SOPs, layouts, process flows to prove that you have done the activity. So that should be acknowledged or provided with each and every response, so that it will give an assurance that you have already actually done that activity and auditor can verify that activity or that document. Once you have done this, provide an effectiveness plan. So when you have response related to observations, you have a CAPA, you have implemented the CAPA, then you should have effectiveness plan, especially for the critical or major observation where you need to monitor certain activities once you have implemented your CAPAs. So these are the few things. One of the point is, or one of the most important part of responding to the observation is providing our seriousness, mentioning our seriousness, mentioning our quality consciousness, that we are equally conscious about providing a quality product as the auditor. So auditor's concern is that they are worried for the patient safety, patient health care. So whenever you respond very thoroughly, show your good intent and show your commitment to the quality. So hope this small video is helpful. If you like, please subscribe, and I will be making more of the videos based on your comments. If you have any question, you can put in the comment box, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Hi, in this video we will understand about self-inspection. So what is self-inspection? So or why it is required? So people will say that we have systems, we have SOPs, we have protocols, we are doing our daily activity routinely, properly. Then what is the purpose of self-inspection, or why we should go for self-inspection? So real purpose is By self-inspection, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for an organization to find out our internal problems, find out our own improvement areas by ourselves rather than somebody else from outside will come, inspect and identify for ourselves. If we are able to identify our problems by our own and we can resolve it, then it is the best scenario. If somebody else from outside will come and identify the problems for you, then the repercussions or consequences will be very bad. And if it is a real critical issues identified by the external person, then we may be in a very big trouble. So self inspection in a real term is an opportunity to have an insight, to see our own things from different perspective and find out the opportunity areas, find out the what are the lackings, and basis that we can improve upon our SOPs, our protocols, our systems, and that will give an opportunity so that we can make our system better day by day. So that is the real purpose of the self inspection, and it should be given utmost important by any organization. So in daily life, if you are doing the things routinely and nobody else is checking from the different perspective, then what will happen? We will understand that whatever we are doing is best, it is going smoothly and there is no issues. But if you involve other persons from the organization, if you involve cross-functional team, for example, self-inspection should be done by the cross-functional team, so that the person or experts from the different area will come, will see, check your process and identify concerns if there are any concerns. It will help us to improve, it will help us to be in compliance with the guideline, it will help us to see what can be the problem areas, what other industries are having the problems, and which from their mistakes we can learn and improve upon our own areas. So that is the benefits of doing a self inspection. This is very short video just to make you understand the importance of the self inspection. In subsequent videos I will be making more videos to guide you that how exactly self inspection should be done. Hope this will give you a clear insight, and from now onwards you will give importance to the self inspection and make efforts to correct the things to make our company, our organization in compliance. Thank you. Hi, I am Dhaval Surti, and in this specific video I will talk about common mistakes which are being made while answering questions during the regulatory inspection. So regulatory inspection is in a very tense environment, and everybody has a common our basic instinct that will be tense because it is an audit and we don't want to make any mistakes while facing the audit, during the regulatory audit, or while answering the questions. So in this specific video I will talk that what common mistakes are being made while answering the questions. So the first common mistake is we start our answer even before the question is completed. So inspector is asking something, he starts his question, and even before that question is completed, we assume that this is the specific thing he or she is going to ask, and we start our answer. Sometimes what happens that this is not the right way. Inspector may have something different in mind, and we think that he is going to ask this. So even before he completes the question or he completes the question, we start our answers. So we should avoid that. We should allow the inspector to complete his question and then only we start our answer. Second common mistake is we answer the question without understanding. We don't understand the question, and that is common because that is very human nature, that we are so intent or so keen to give the answers to the regulator. We want to make sure that we give information, lot of information, so that they will feel that we are in a good shape. But yes, intent are correct, but we have to have some patience. So once the question is asked, you first understand the question, what is being asked. Don't answer without understanding the question completely. You can have a 3 or 5 seconds pause. There is nothing wrong with that. It is better to wait for 5 seconds before answering rather than starting our answer and giving a wrong answer. And as a company, we are not willing, or we don't want to give incorrect information to the regulator. So we are all are doing the correct things, and we want to convey that we are doing the correct things. So that is that. So first understand the question, and then only you start your answer. Take your time to understanding the question. Then sometimes, based on our experience, we assume that the question is being asked because of this specific reason, because of our previous experiences, or because of our own interaction during the course of the time we are working within the company, or we are talking with our friends, that what are the common things which is being like looked by the regulators. So we have some assumptions in our mind. So even without understanding the question, or instead of answering to the question, we answer based on our assumption. We think that this question is being asked because of some different reason. So instead of answering the question, we are answering to that reason which we think that regulator has asked this question, because something else in there, something else is there in the regulator's mind. So don't answer based on your assumption. Just answer to the question. Don't assume anything, and provide a specific answer. Don't give lengthy answers. The fourth common mistake is we give too much of the information. For example, if an inspector asks that do you have an SOP for the handling of your incidents or handling of your deviation, the simple answer is yes, because you all have the SOP. There is no possibility that company will not have an SOP how to handle incidents or deviations. So simple answer is yes. What people do, they'll start telling, yes, we have SOP, we have very good SOP, we have SOP title number this, title this. In the SOP we have defined the 3 categories of incident, like major, minor and critical. We are handling incidents very thoroughly. We log our incident on the same day. This information is practically not asked by the auditor. He simply asked that do you have the SOP. The answer is yes or no, and wait for the next question. Of course, you have to provide the information which is being asked, but don't give upfrontly the too much of the information. It is even not demanded by the regulator, not asked by the inspector, and they also don't want to waste their time in getting those too much of the information which they don't want. So inspectors have a very limited time to complete the entire inspection, and we should not waste the time by talking of too much. They also want a specific information, and our intent should be also give to the specific information. Of course, companies are not doing anything wrong, and that is baseline assessment, or that is the basic with the good companies. So we don't have to be worried that what will happen. Simply understand the question. Say first is allow the inspector to complete the question, understand the question, and answer to specific to the question. Don't answer to your assumptions, and don't provide too much of information. It is not give benefit to you, to inspector, or to the company. So hope this short video will be helpful to understand that how we should answer question during the regulatory inspection. Thank you very much. नमस्कार, मैं हूं धवल कुमार सुरती, और मेरे YouTube चैनल में आप सबका स्वागत है। मेरे इस चैनल में मैं फार्मा रिलेटेड बहुत सारे वीडियोस बनाता हूं, तो अगर आपको ये मेरे वीडियोस अच्छे लगते हैं तो आप मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब भी कर सकते हैं। मेरे इस स्पेसिफिक वीडियो में मैं ये बात करने वाला हूं कि जब USFDA इंस्पेक्शन या MHRA इंस्पेक्शन या कोई भी रेगुलेटरी इंस्पेक्शन आता है तो हमको ऑब्जर्वेशन बहुत सारे दे जाता है, और हमारा खुद का इंटरनल इंस्पेक्शन प्रोग्राम होता है, सेल्फ इंस्पेक्शन प्रोग्राम होता है, कॉर्पोरेट इंस्पेक्शन प्रोग्राम होता है। तो वो लोग ये ऑब्जर्वेशन आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाते, बट बाहर से अगर FDA या MHRA आता है तो सेम ऑब्जर्वेशन आइडेंटिफाई कर देता है। तो मैं इस वीडियो में ये समझाना चाहूँगा कि ऐसा क्यों होता है। तो मेरा वीडियो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि आप पूरा वीडियो देखें। तो सबसे पहली बात है कि हमारे इंटरनल ऑडिटर है उसकी कैपेबिलिटी या क्वालिटी। कई बार क्या होता है कि जो 5 या 10 साल वाले एक्सपीरियंस वाले स्पेसिफिक पर्सन्स होते हैं उसको हम एज ए इंटरनल ऑडिटर डेप्यूट कर देते हैं कि भाई आप ऑडिट करो और सब चेक करो, बट उनका एक्सपर्टीज़ उस एरिया में है कि नहीं है, उनको वो लेवल की ट्रेनिंग है कि नहीं कि वो अच्छे से ऑडिट कर सके और ऑब्जर्वेशंस आइडेंटिफाई कर सके। वो उतना इन डेप्थ इवेल्युएशन नहीं होता है। तो उससे होता क्या है कि चलो 5 साल वाले एक्सपीरियंस वाला अपना इंटरनल ऑडिटर है या 10 साल वाला है, तो उसका एक स्पेसिफिक एरिया पर एक्सपर्टीज़ है, तो वो क्या करेगा, अपना लिमिटेड जो नॉलेज है उसके हिसाब से वो चेक करेगा। लेकिन वो ओवरऑल जो होलिस्टिक पिक्चर बोलते हैं कि हर चीज़ को एक दूसरे के साथ लिंक करना, मैच करना, जो USFDA करता है वो शायद कहीं ना कहीं मिस हो जाता है। उसकी वजह से क्या होता है कि जो ऑडिट होता है उतना प्रोडक्टिव नहीं होता है, उतना फैक्ट फाइंडिंग नहीं होता है। जो ऑडिट होता है सुपरफिशियल इन द सेंस कि 4-5 लोग आते हैं, दे विल गो टू एरिया, ऑडिट एरिया में जाएंगे, डॉक्यूमेंट देखेंगे, उसमें अगर कुछ मिल गया तो ठीक है, उसको ऑब्जर्वेशन बना देंगे, कुछ नहीं मिला तो कुछ अपने आप से बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे, या जो छोटी सी चीज़ है उसको बहुत बड़ा करने की कोशिश करेंगे। बिकॉज उनको भी वो ऐसा होता है कि इफ़ यू आर ऑडिटिंग वी हैव टू फाइंड समथिंग, बट वो सिस्टमेटिक अप्रोच नहीं होता है। तो फर्स्ट है कि इंटरनल ऑडिटर की खुद की क्वालिटी, दूसरा है कि इंटरनल ऑडिटर का ट्रेनिंग। तो अगर हमने किसी को डेप्यूट किया है एज एन इंटरनल ऑडिटर, एज ए सेल्फ इंस्पेक्शन, तो क्या उतना हाईली स्किल्ड और ट्रेंड है कि नहीं है। सी, एक्सपीरियंस होना एक बात है, बट उसके रिलेवेंट जो ऑडिटिंग स्किल है वो नॉलेज से डिफरेंट है। आपको नॉलेज हो सकता है लेकिन ऑडिटिंग स्किल इज ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट लेवल। जो FDA इंस्पेक्टर्स को मिलती है, MHR इंस्पेक्टर को स्पेसिफिक ट्रेनिंग मिलती है हाउ टू परफॉर्म ऑडिट, जो शायद हमारे इंटरनल ऑडिटर ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में उतना इन डेप्थ नहीं जाता है। सो इंटरनल ऑडिटर्स वो क्या करते हैं, वो हाईली दे कैन बी एक्सपर्ट इन देयर एरिया, बट दे मे और मे नॉट बी द एक्सपर्ट ऑडिटर। वो एक्सपर्ट ऑडिटर हो भी सकते हैं, नहीं भी हो सकते। अगर वो खुद एक्सपर्ट ऑडिटर नहीं है, उसको अगर ये पता नहीं है कि क्या क्या क्वेश्चन पूछने हैं, क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स ढूंढने हैं, क्या डॉक्यूमेंट्स रिव्यू करने हैं, उसको कहाँ पे लिंक करना है जिससे पता चले कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम, सिस्टमेटिक प्रॉब्लम है कि नहीं है, वो लेवल तक वो नहीं जाते हैं। ऑलमोस्ट सुपरफिशियल ऑडिट होता है, एरिया में जाता है, कुछ दिख गया तो ठीक है, नहीं दिखा तो वो ऐसे ही छोड़ देते हैं या फिर कुछ ना कुछ मेकअप करने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो ये एक लैक्यूना आता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंटरनल ऑडिटर प्रोग्राम कि उतना इफेक्टिव नहीं होता है। तो क्या डिफरेंस है इंटरनल ऑडिट और FDA ऑडिट में। तो FDA ऑडिटर आर हाईली ट्रेंड ऑन हाउ टू इवेल्युएट, या एक और बात है कि इंटरनल ऑडिटर में क्या होता है कि उसका जो रिसेंट नॉलेज होता है, उसको कभी पता चला कि ये कंपनी में ये ऑब्जर्वेशन था या दूसरी कंपनी में वो ऑब्जर्वेशन था, तो वो क्या करेगा, रादर देन गोइंग फॉर सिस्टमेटिक ऑडिट वो वही चेक करेगा जो उसको आज की डेट में नॉलेज है कि ये ऑब्जर्वेशन है, ये ऑब्जर्वेशन दूसरी कंपनी को मिलते हैं, तो वही ऑब्जर्वेशन वो ये हमारी इधर है कि नहीं वो चेक करने की कोशिश करेगा, और नहीं है तो कहीं ना कहीं से उसको मेकअप करने का ट्राई करेगा। लेकिन जो सिस्टमेटिक अप्रोच होता है वो कहीं ना कहीं मिस हो जाता है। तो क्या डिफरेंस है, हाउ FDA ऑडिट्स। FDA क्या करता है, एक सिस्टम पकड़ता है, उसको अपनी 21 CFR कंप्लायंस गाइडलाइन के हिसाब से इवेल्युएट करता है कि ये चीज़ है कि नहीं है। फॉर एग्जांपल कुछ चीज़ हमने क्वालिफिकेशन में क्वालिफाई किया है, तो वही पैरामीटर SOP के अंदर है कि नहीं है, और वही पैरामीटर मशीन की PLC में है कि नहीं है, तो वो तीनों एक दूसरे के साथ लिंक है कि नहीं है वो चेक करेगा। उसको ये पता है कि ये क्वालिफिकेशन के लिए, मशीन के लिए ये 4-5 इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें हैं कि विच इज़ मस्ट टू ऑपरेट दिस स्पेसिफिक इक्विपमेंट। तो दे विल चेक कि ये सब चीज़ें आपने क्वालिफिकेशन में कवर करी हैं कि नहीं करी। तो एक एग्जांपल हो गया। दिस इज़ द बेसिक डिफरेंस कि दे आर ट्रेंड। सेकेंडली दे आर ट्रेंड ऑन द ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी। तो अगर सामने वाला पर्सन को क्या क्वेश्चन पूछना है, उसका क्या रिएक्शन है, उसके हिसाब से वो ढूंढ पाते हैं या समझ पाते हैं कि सामने वाला पर्सन सही बोल रहा है या वो कुछ गलत आंसर दे रहा है। तो एक दे आर ऑल्सो एक्सपर्ट इन द साइकोलॉजी विच इज समवेयर मिसिंग इन अवर ओन इंटरनल ऑडिटर्स। तो ये छोटी छोटी 2-3 चीज़ें हैं। मैं इस टॉपिक पे और भी वीडियो बनाऊंगा, प्लीज़ मेरे साथ बने रहिए। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर वॉचिंग माई वीडियो। Hello and welcome. I am Dhaval Kumar Surti. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this specific channel, I share a lot of information about pharmaceutical industry, especially with respect to injectable manufacturing. And in this specific video, I'll talk about the current inspection methodology from the various regulators like FDA, MHRA. So currently, what are the most most probable reasons for getting an observation is about the inadequate investigation. So in our manufacturing process, in our testing process, there is high probability that we can encounter with the incidents. And with respect to current environment, current scenario, that there is a in-depth review, in-depth analysis by the inspectors about our procedures, our practices, there are a lot of chances that we have a more number of incidents. So with increase in the number of incidents, what happens that the investigation quality goes down. So what happens, we have lot many incidents per day and it is not getting investigated in depth. There are various reasons, many reasons for it, but ultimately what happens that it leads to inadequate investigation. So inadequate investigation, if you are not doing the investigation from the day one, if you are not involving all the required cross-functional expertise for the investigation, if you are starting your investigation because just you have to close it on a due date, then what will happen, it will result into an improper investigation. You are not going to the depth of the things, you are not evaluating all possible factors in your investigation, and it will lead to improper investigation, superficial investigation. And if you are doing a superficial investigation, you will not get the actual root cause. And what is the disadvantage of not getting the actual root cause? You will define a kappa which are not solving the problem. You will just define some superficial kappa like revising a SOP or putting some giving some training or making some correction in your protocol, in your batch record, but it is not going to solve the problem as a whole if you don't know the actual root cause. So there are sequence of cycle. You do investigation improperly, you derive to a superficial root cause, and you define your kappa based on that superficial root cause. So what will happen, you are not solving the actual problem by implementing that kappa. The problem remains there, and after some time you will have the same problem again, same incident again. So it will indicate that your previous investigation was inadequate, the kappa was inappropriate. It will again, we have to go into the depth, again we have to do the same process. And this, in the terms of regulatory inspectors, in the view of regulatory inspectors, indicates that our investigation methodology is inadequate and they lose trust on our procedure and practices. So this is the highest or most common reason for the FDA observation about inadequate investigation. So to meet the current expectation, it is very crucial that first we have to prevent the incident, and if there is an incident, it has to be investigated very thoroughly. Hope this short video is helpful to make you understand about the importance of incident investigation with respect to the regulatory requirements from the point of view of the regulatory inspectors. Thank you very much for watching my video. Hi, I am Dhaval Kumar Surti. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this specific channel, I am sharing information about pharmaceutical industry, especially for the injectable or parenteral manufacturing industry. In this specific video, I will talk about the current inspection methodology, current inspection trend from the various regulators, especially USFDA, that how currently they are auditing the facilities and what sort of observations we are getting out of the inspection. So first important factor about current inspection method is directly going to the activity area by the inspector and directly interacting with the persons who are doing the activity. So it's not about what you have written in the document, what you have done into the qualification, or what it is written in your SOP. It's about going to the working area and observing what the actual operators or supervisor are doing. And the inspector are used to ask a direct question to the operator, even if they call the person for the interaction to the office, to the audit room. They'll ask what you are doing as per the routine activity, and whatever answer is given by the supervisor or the operator is considered as the final answer for the specific activity, irrespective of what you have written in your standard operating procedure, SOP or protocol. So this makes it's very critical that our operators, our supervisor who are doing day-to-day job should be doing that activity exactly as per what is written into the procedures. If there is a variation in the answers, what is answered by the person and what is written in the SOP, then what is answered by the person is taken as your practice, and if it is not as per the GMP standard, or it is if the practice is lacking, see, even if it is here in your SOP but if practice is different, then it is considered as a lacuna, it's considered as a deficiency, and you will get that deficiency as an observation. So that is first part. So your operators, your supervisor, or whoever the person or the subject matter expert is giving the answer should know what is the written in the SOP and what is the actual practice. And if there are gaps, like after knowing this fact that there can be gaps, if there are gaps, it is our responsibility that we have to bridge those gaps. We have to make our SOP as per practice, and SOP practice should meet the regulatory requirements, regulatory expectations. This is first most important part for the specific current industrial trends. So I will be making more such videos on the current inspection trends. Be with me, be with my channel. Thank you very much for watching my video. Hi, I am Dhaval Surti. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a specific channel which I have created to share my pharmaceutical industrial experiences. In the series of video which I prepared for how to prepare for the USFDA inspection, regulatory inspection. In this specific video, I will be talking about warehouse. As we know, warehouse is an important component of entire pharmaceutical manufacturing plant. Warehouse is the area where we store our materials. Let it be raw materials, let it be packing material, let it be primary packing material, secondary packing material, labels, cartons, everything. Everything we are storing at the warehouse. So it's an important component, important part of the entire industrial machinery. So what is the aspects which we should be looking at while we prepare for the inspection? Practically we don't have to separately prepare for the inspection, but we have to all time ready so that we may not fail while we have the actual audits, actual inspection. So what are the important factors? Let's have a look. First and foremost is how we receive the material. Material receipt is an important aspect. So while we receive the material from our vendors, first and foremost assurance is that whether it is from the approved vendor or not. So we have to see that whether the material is from the approved vendor. Second part is whether the appropriate condition of the material. So material should be, when we receive it, should be appropriate. There should be no breakage, no damage to the material. If it is broken or damaged, we have to intimate, we have to notify and intimate to the vendor, and we have to quarantine material. We should not use that material. After receipt, we have to see whether the material name is correct, the material description is correct, material storage conditions are provided, it is as per our requirement. We have the material code for that we have to verify. Once it is done, we have to shift the material to the appropriate storage condition. So what is appropriate storage condition? Appropriate storage condition is which is specified by the material manufacturer, and it will be there on the label, it will be there in the specification. So as per the specification, we have to store the material into the warehouse. So after the receipt, the next important part of warehousing is storage. So for the storage purpose, we should have, as per the expectation, as per the requirement, we should have adequate space, adequate temperature, required temperature controls, required lighting control, and required humidity. So some material may require special storage conditions like cold rooms or freezing conditions. Some material have a special requirement with respect to lighting. So some material has to be protected from light, so we have to verify. And some material have a special requirement for the humidity. So appropriately the material should be stored. So in our preparedness, we have to ensure that each and every material is stored as per the specific defined storage conditions. That is second part. I have seen that when we store the material, there are different storage conditions defined by the different regulatory bodies, different pharmacopoeias or different companies from the different vendors. So 20 to 25, not more than 25, between 15 to 25 is a specific storage condition. And when we are storing a material which requires 15 to 25 storage condition in a storage condition between 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, we have to ensure that it remains in between them. Any excursions has to be addressed. We should have a procedure for handling the excursions. So when we store at a specific condition, it is expected in routine life that sometimes we may have excursions, so we should have handling procedure how we will be handling the storage conditions excursions. Some are allowed based on the stability data, some are allowed based on the MKT data. MKT is mean kinetic temperature. You can Google it to know more about it, and I can make video in my upcoming videos for the specific purpose. So that is second part of it. Appropriate storage condition we have to ensure. And when you are storing lot of material in a single room, single warehouse, for example, raw materials. Raw materials are if you have single room, to ensure that each and every material is properly segregated, properly labeled, and properly identified with a location code. So whenever you want to issue the material, you can easily identify it. That location code should be clubbed with the material and item code, so that you don't have to go for identification, go for searching each and every time. There are automated softwares which are available, which can help you to how properly allocate the material location code, properly store them. That is one. For the specific critical materials which require specific storage, for example, storage at -20°, storage in a low light, we have to take extra precaution that we store that material appropriately. Second part about the storage condition is we should have adequate storage for the material which are just received, which we have not tested, so they will go into the quarantine. Second part is release material. So material which are already tested by the laboratory and released for ready for dispensing, we have to store in the release area. We may have some rejects. So rejected material stored should be very separate with lock and key and with limited access. We may have recall, so we should have a separate storage area for the recalled materials, and this all areas should have a access control, so the authorized person can only access this area. Not each and every person can go to area and access to the area. With respect to the safety, with respect to the theft material, there are costly materials which can be stolen by. So this is a sort of regulatory requirement or expectation, so each and every storage area should have access control. So this is our storage part of warehousing. Third is testing and release, dispensing. So who should dispense the material? So appropriately this trained person. So trained, qualified and educated person should only act into the dispensing area. So material dispensing should be done by the trained and qualified person only. And specific material may require special dispensing condition. For example, the material which are highly impacted by the humidity, moisture sensitive material, which we can say. If the material is moisture sensitive, we have to have a special available cabinets which can provide you the respective humidity controls. So they are called glow boxes, or any other equipment can also be used which provides you with the adequate humidity. When you have the lighting controls, there should be facility for the low light or yellow light if the material is light sensitive. So for the dispensing part, the same precautions which you are going for the storage, same precaution you have to follow while dispensing of the material. Light sensitive material, moisture sensitive material, heat sensitive material should be dispensed appropriately, and we should have that controls in place. So these are the few important topics in general, I'll say. So you can prepare for your inspection. You can get ready your warehouse for the inspection. Hope this helps you. If you like my channel, if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. I will be very happy to share my knowledge in my upcoming videos. Be with my channel. Thank you very much for your time. Hi, in today's video we will understand that how a 0.2 micron filter retains the bacteria. What is the science behind it, we'll discuss today. So there are two mechanisms by which a 0.2 micron pore size filter retains the bacteria which are 0.2 micron size and above that size. What are those two mechanisms? One is retention by sieving, physical retention, and another is second one is retention by adsorption, which is charge related mechanism. So first and for the validation of the filter, determining your membrane, which membrane you are going to use, determining qualification, and finally validating the filter using the product, you need to consider both this mechanism, retention by sieving and retention by adsorption. So first understand retention by sieving. So the filter, 0.2 micron filter, it is not about the sieve structure, it is a complex microfiber structure. So understand, we sieve the powder to get the particular particle size through a sieve, physical sieve. In the structure, in the filter which is achieving 0.2 micron size, it is not simple sieve, it is a complex structure of microfibers which ultimately have a pore size which is 0.2 micron or smaller. So it has the capability to retain the microorganism of 0.2 micron and larger. So how it works? This complex structure physically retains the microorganisms. It is most of the part, it is not impacted by the number of microorganisms within the liquid. However, it is impacted by the content of the solute, the composition of liquid, the filtration condition and temperature. This can impact the filtration mechanism by sieving. Practically, it is a simple physics that microorganisms which are larger than the pore size of the filter will get physically retained by the filter. It is not impacted by the number of microorganisms within the solution. Second mechanism is adsorption, which is charge related, and it is impacted by the composition of the liquid, temperature, filtration conditions and composition, what are the contents within the solution. Adsorption is impacted by this mechanism. Adsorption, that microorganism will adhere to the structure, adhere to the microfibers of the filter. By this mechanism, even if the pore size of the bacteria is, or the bacteria size is smaller than the pore size, if the adsorptive site is available on the filter, in the filter structure, it will be retained by the absorption. So by absorption, even the smaller bacteria than the pore size of the filter will get retained. So both this mechanism, physical retention and adsorption, collectively works to produce a sterile effluent, to remove all 0.2 micron or larger bacteria from your liquid. Hope this small video makes you understand that how this 0.2 micron filter works. Hope this helps you to understand. Thank you very much for watching my full video. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel PHARMAVEN. In today's video we will discuss about powder media filling. So how to simulate media fill on a powder filling line, and this is a area of interest, area of concern, and I got lot of queries about how we can simulate a media fill on a powder filling line. So let us understand. There are four ways which can be done. So please watch all four types. It will be interesting video, knowledge sharing for you as well as knowledge gaining for myself. So let us start with the first type or first way. First way is some filling machines are equipped with filling liquid as well as powder. So same setup of the powder filling, using the same setup we can fill the liquid also. However, the accuracy of the filling may not be the equivalent or that accurate as with the powder, but it will suffice the purpose of filling the liquid. You may have to have certain different hopper. So powder will have hopper and liquid will need some vessel or small buffer tank. So that replacement will be there, but otherwise same setup we can fill the liquid media on the powder filling line. So some machines are with such capabilities. So that is one way to do it, is to replace the powder with liquid media. So that is one way to do it. Second type of filling machines, they come with both the facilities, liquid and powder. So powder is the primary purpose and liquid setup is only given to fill the liquid media. So that will be the additional setup on the same filling machine. It will remain there. There will be some adaptations. We need to modify something. We need to install something. That will be part and parcel of the initial machine, initial qualification setup. But we will be using that liquid part only when we are going for a media fill simulation. So in that way, you have to simulate everything as per your powder, but you will be filling liquid. You will be using the liquid setup part. So that is the another way. The advantage here is you don't need to modify anything. You have the setup, you use that setup, you only directly fill the liquid. You don't have to use the powder setup part. But of course, your entire activity, sequence of the activity, pre-activity, post-activity, non-viable particle counts, your simulations, your aseptic interventions should remain same as per the powder media filling. Only change will be you will be filling liquid and not the powder. Your container size should also remain practically the same. So this is how this is the second way we can do the media fill. Advantage here is that you are not changing much on the machine. You are using the same machine setup and you just replace the powder with liquid media. Of course, the fill volume, the frequency of interventions, the duration of the interventions, the operator simulates, that all rules remains the same as per the liquid media. There are no modification, no changes into the basic requirement of the media fill, which is we do into the liquid media fill. Starting from the assembling, starting from the operator simulation, number of interventions, how to do it, your EM frequency. Yes, of course, EM frequency in the powder is different, that you do NVPC pre and post, because when you are filling the powder itself will generate to the NVPC, non-viable particulate count. So that's not a feasible way. But of course, for liquid media fill you can additionally do it, but it's not required practically, as it will be an additional simulation which you are not going to do in an actual powder filling simulation or actual product filling with powder. So this is the second way. Third way is to fill powder into the container followed by the liquid on the same setup. So what you are doing, you are using a placebo powder. You may not use the product powder. You use sterile placebo powder to replace the product powder. So in the vial you fill the partial quantity of powder followed by the liquid media. So same machine setup has both the facility. So you first have to fill the powder and then you fill the liquid media. Of course, this liquid filling setup we will be using only for the media fill and not for your routine. So that is another way. So you simulate powder filling as well as liquid filling. The advantage that you are simulating using the same machine, using the same setup, just you are additionally adding the liquid liquid media so as to simulate or so as to promote the growth of microorganism within that container. So that is one other way to do it, media fill. Again, the rules and regulations or requirement of the normal media fill remains the same here also. Now, fourth way is to first fill the liquid media and then the powder. Previously we discussed powder followed by liquid, and then here liquid followed by powder. Of course, there is a disadvantage or possibility there when you are filling powder first and liquid after. Then in powder, when liquid falls, there is a possibility of powder spillage, powder splash onto the body of the container. That is a possibility if the powder is fluffy. If the powder is easy to go in air, then if liquid is going inside, then there is a possibility that it will spill the powder across the body of the container inside. Another way, like liquid followed by powders, and both are mixed. So that is the fourth way, that you first fill the liquid and then fill the powder. Of course, this will require certain adaptation into the machine. It should be a part of machine when you are initially procuring. So when you procure a powder filling machine, you must consider that you have to simulate media fill on that, and media fill simulation of course will require liquid filling setup. So either the same setup should fill the liquid media, or you have to add something during the media fill for the media fill, or it has inbuilt powder filling and liquid filling capabilities, so that you can again use the liquid filling capability during the media fill. The sequence can be either or, first liquid or post then after powder, or first powder and then the liquid. But advisable method will be first liquid then powder, so that we will be eliminating the possibility of the powder spillage when the liquid is filled inside the powder filled container. So this is how we can simulate the filling operation. Also, we have sterile bulk mixing processes. When we are using the, in your compounding, you have 2 or 3 sterile bulks, your sterile bulk powder mixing with like one is your sterile APA, then sterile excipients, and you are mixing in isolator or under LF or in a manufacturing area specifically designed for this sort of mixing process. Then in media fill you have to simulate the placebo powders, substitute sterile powders, and then that has to be converted into liquid media. It has to be dissolved into the liquid media to see your manufacturing process, sterile manufacturing process does not introduce contamination. So for the simulation of the media fill for the bulk, sterile bulk processing, it is the way we can do it. The details or detailed guidance on this is provided in PDA for the aseptic process simulation. You can refer to that. It will be very helpful for a detailed knowledge, and you can also refer to the USP and other chapters which talks on the media fill, and of course the guidance for industry 2004 as well as updated UNX one, which is released in August 23 to this year. So these are the few documents you can refer. Hope this small video will be useful for you to understand how powder how can we simulate the media fill for the powder filling, sterile powder filling line. Hope this helps. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you like, you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Thanks a lot.